Thanks for joining me today. We're going to have practice tonight with 2 myofascial balls, or, well, you really only need one at a time. So at least 1 myofascial ball, 2 blocks probably, and 2 blankets if possible. And we're going to start in what I call Cleopatra pose. So we're going to grab our block and we're going to start with a myofascial release. So let's start on our right side. You're going to take the block and your knees, you can keep them bent or any pattern that helps you feel stable. And I'm on my right elbow. And the block is going, the top part of the block, the top edge of the block, it's on its second height, it's going into about the middle of my armpit. And then the lower edge of the block is sort of in the ribs. You can move any breast tissue out of the way if you need to. And then we're gonna move the hips so that those feel settled and our head can rest into our fist or your palm if that feels better. I have my left hand to support me, and then I'm gonna close my eyes. So see if you can find a position that allows you to arrive here. And begin to let the weight of the body settle. And we'll probably be on each side about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes before I switch us. But this initial time, see if you can not worry so much about the details. Make sure you're comfortable enough. And begin to let the weight of the day settle down into the block. Maybe you can start to let the head settle into the hand. Maybe invite even the hips to feel and release down. And then start to notice the quality of your breath, the pace, the sound as you breathe in and out. And if rolling a little forward and back feels appropriate, then let that be a part of your time here. And then continuing to keep the attention on the breath, on sensations. Maybe more so connecting with the physicality of your body as you arrive, how it feels to be here. Maybe noticing how your energy is as you settle in here. How your energy is, whether that's feeling energized or feeling exhausted or feeling kind of scattered with partially being here and partially still thinking about the other things. And just come back to the breath and this sensation here. And we're gonna get ready to switch sides. Now, I'm gonna let you choose how you wanna do that. Maybe with the eyes closed, you can start to just switch and roll to the other side. Or maybe for you, lingering here, an extra few breaths feels more appropriate. As you're ready, make our way to the other side with the least amount of effort. So finding your way with the least amount of effort. And again, positioning the block. So the upper edge is sort of in the armpits, but play around with that, moving away any of the chest tissue if you need to. And then just begin to notice whatever is here. Notice how the sides of the neck land as you support the head. Notice how the breath feels as you breathe in now on this side and as you breathe out on this side. And see if you can let even the sides of the face, or starting from the top of the head, down the temples, down the sides of your face, letting that all soften. Whether that's visualizing the skin sort of softening and letting go, or inviting in a sense of softening and gentleness. So let the shoulders drop and the jaw relaxes. Whatever we're carrying with us, we'll just set it to the side. And this next hour will be a lot about peeling back the chest or opening up the chest and shoulders. But we're also gonna get into the legs and build some heat and energy in the legs. And then leave time for some pranayama and a nice shavasana. Or more of a nice chest opening shavasana. Can't assume everybody thinks shavasana is nice. So we'll be here another 5 to 6 rounds of breath. And if you want to roll forward and back, do a little bit of that cross fiber work across the tissues of the side body. This is one of my favorite ways to sort of get into the shoulders via the side door. Bringing some compression here to the muscles that connect to both the front and back of the body. And slowly over the next few breaths, making your way onto your back. We'll be here briefly, but just starting to take the space to notice what those 5 minutes created. And then begin to bring the knees into the chest, and we'll rock a bit side to side. And here, if you'd like to move a little quicker, or if you prefer a little slower and lingering on each side, if you want to diversify the movements, opening up the arms like in a T, or let the knees go a little wider, or maybe even do some circles, just kind of rolling or circling, just bringing some warmth around the muscles of the spine and the back, a little bit of chest as well. And then come back to center and let your arms come alongside your body. And then we're just going to kind of bicycle the legs. We're going to do a little bit here for the core, but it doesn't have to be like legs in, like you were really on a bike, but maybe instead more like a moonwalk, right? So like the legs are kind of floating in space, and maybe you want to cross the legs in front of you. So they're like making an X, or, one leg forward, one leg back, and then you switch that, and maybe the legs start to kind of climb up an imaginary wall, and then they climb down it. And maybe now you want to take the hands behind the head and sort of curl the chest up as you do this moonwalky bicycle move. Maybe rocking a little side to side as you go. We'll be here just a little bit longer, just getting as funky as you can. and bringing it back towards center and slowing it down. And then go on and bring those knees in, rock a little side to side. Big breath in. And empty out on the exhale. Roll the ankles a little bit, one direction and the other. Flexing or rolling. Good. And then we'll begin to roll up, either rock and roll up or roll over to your side. And let's grab our block. So we're going to start with one block. We'll do the myofascial release in just a little bit. And we're going to come up to standing. The only thing we'll need right now are the blocks and then the myofascial balls in just a smidge. So I'll face you. So I'm going to step on the block. The block is on the first height. I have it long ways so my foot can be on it. And if your foot's a little bit bigger, you'll see where we're going to go and then decide how you want to position the foot. And I'm going to step on the block literally with my left foot, and my right foot is dangling. And then we're going to come through Utkatasana. And so I'm going to place my right foot down and my arms alongside my body and come into this sort of awkward Utkatasana. And then I'm going to inhale, press down, lift my right knee up just enough. I don't want to bring it towards my chest because then I feel like I'm compressing too much. I want to bring it so I feel a little bit of work happening, but I don't want to overdo it right away. And then when I exhale, I'm going to come down to Utkatasana, maybe my arms come out. And then I'm going to press into that left foot, bring my right leg up. And we're going to keep moving like this, and we're going to start adding in some Kapalabhati if you want to. So as I come up, I'm going to exhale, inhale down, exhale up, inhale down, exhale up. And I want you to try to keep your hips mostly even, and that's the other reason I don't want you to lift that right knee too high. I want you to try to keep the hips even, and so maybe instead of the hands out, keep them on your hips. Utkatasana, we tend to have the arms out, but I find it easier often hands on hips because I'm working to keep the hips even, and you're probably feeling a whole lot of heat in the legs. And so as practice, we're kind of coming at it. We're going to get into some active heat building poses in the legs. And then we're going to have a lot of time to do more lengthening and chest opening postures. Okay, we'll do a few more here. And maybe you're still doing the Kapalabhati breath. Last one. Good. And we'll simply switch sides. So coming with the right foot up. And then just kind of feel it out, see how it feels to balance now. Right foot, left knee draws up. And then I'm going to come down, hands on the hips. Exhale as I come up. And I'm trying to keep an evenness in my hips. So moving at a pace that feels comfortable to you, maybe challenging yourself a little bit here, or maybe moving without the challenge, maybe not going as deep because that's what you need. So you can add the Kapalabhati. I like this one often first thing in the morning. Let's do 3 or 4 more. Last one. Good. Release. Notice. Good. And then we're going to grab hold of the block. We're going to do one more here, like a little bit different start. And I'm going to start with the right knee behind me. Now, if you feel like balance is awkward, you may want to come all the way with the right knee down. Some low lunge. And if you feel like your balance is feeling pretty strong tonight, maybe you want to come to a high lunge already, and you can bend that back knee. Now what I'm gonna do with the block, I've got my right leg behind me, I've got the block on the first type. My hands are holding the block and I'm gonna gently twist towards the left. So I'm reaching my arms kind of to the left corner of my mat. Now, when I'm ready to exhale, I'm gonna bring that right knee towards my chest and twist towards the right with the block. And again, I'm not gonna bring my right knee too high up. I'm gonna bring it so the hips stay more even. And now we'll move like that. Inhale, come to that low lunge, twist to the left. Exhale, right knee to chest, playing around with the balance here. Good, take it back, bring it forward. Now, if you want to bring in the Kapalabhati again, the exhale is up, the inhale is back, or maybe you want to do it the reverse. Either way, you can play around with the Kapalabhati here to bring a bit more heat. Always inhaling with Kapalabhati and a rapid exhale. Actively building the seat, but not building tension. Good, 2 more. Last one. Good, release. Pause long enough just to notice. Catch your breath. And let's switch sides. Do one more like this. So left leg back. Maybe come back through the low lunge, or it's kind of nice to start in low lunge. Why don't we start in the low lunge just to really feel the quads and hips and lower back even. Finding your center here. Good, soft shoulders, belly to spine. And then maybe now you come up a little higher, back knee bends. Hips are even. We're gonna twist towards the right now with the block. Just a gentle twist. As you're ready, you can shift the weight forward and then draw left knee in, partially up, twist towards the left. Now coming into your own tempo here. Working with maybe the Kapalabhati breath, or just making sure you're breathing in and fully out. I find a little quicker helps my balance in this one. Twisting and twisting. And I'm not moving my head at all. Maybe figure that out, but try not to move your head much. So my gaze is steady, which if you're having trouble with balance here, keep a steady forward gaze. That will help tremendously. So I'm just moving the arms, trying to keep the hips even. It's all working good. Last 2. Whew. All right, here we go. Pause. And see why this would be a good one when you want to get going in the morning. Let the breath settle. And we'll release the block. We're going to grab one of your balls, myofascial balls, and we're going to roll out the feet a little bit. So we're going to do a little bit more like that, where we're utilizing the breath and a little bit more rapid movement. So let's start with the right foot here, just sort of getting into all those little neuromuscular messengers on the bottom of the foot. So I've got the ball right under the mound of my foot. My toes are hanging off, and I'm just doing like half circles back and forth. Just changing the pressure on the underside of the foot here. Then I'm going to shift towards the back of the foot. If you're doing this as a recording and you want to linger a little more, you can always hit pause. Now we're at the top of the heel. And then I'm just going to roll that ball back and forth. Now I'm just going from the toes toward the heel, back, putting some pressure as I move the ball from toes to heel, add pressure, and then just kind of scooch it back forward. Toes to heel pressure, and then back forward. Do that a couple more times. Good, and now let's kind of scribble like the ball was a crayon and you're just scribbling in a big square or something like that. Or getting the inner foot and outer foot. Good, and then go on and step off the ball and just notice. Just feel the difference of right side, left side. You don't have to describe it, just notice and feel maybe even what you feel all the way up the leg. And then let's switch. So we'll start with those half circles we'll start in the center of the left foot and then start to go towards the outer foot and inner foot, or inner foot, outer foot, just sort of half circles. And keeping a little bit of pressure, right? So you don't want to be over pressing or clenching the toes, but we're adding some pressure to it. Hydrate the area underneath by just changing the compression. Moving the fluid in and out of the tissues here is basically what we're doing with the myofascial process. Helping to relieve tension that can build up. And then let's go towards the back. I also find with some of these balancing poses, even like in a lunge or a warrior three, doing this sometimes before can help with just that sense of connection to the feet and where they are. And good. And then let's go on and go back and forth, changing the pressure as you go. Again, apply pressure from toes to heel and then just gently roll the ball back. Toes to heel pressure, and then the ball comes back. You don't have to only be going down the center of the foot. Maybe you're going a little bit on the outer, a little bit on the inner, depending on what you are experiencing. And then let's move into that scribble, that super light scribbling, just gentle pressure of the foot on the ball and scribbling all over, getting the nooks and crannies, each corner. And then go on and just come off the ball and maybe let the eyes shut or stand in a comfortable position to simply notice. If you remember how both feet felt before, like revisiting the change in sensations. And maybe let the eyes open now if they're closed and you're ready. And let's put the ball somewhere safe. That was one of the main reasons we needed the balls. We may not use them again. So go on and put that safe. And let's come up to the top of the mat. And as you're ready, inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, we're going to gently fold Uttanasana. Let the head hang. Your inhale, halfway up. And your exhale, fold it down and release. Let's lift that back up when you're ready. Inhale in. The exhale, fully fold forward. Vent out the breath. Let the breath fully empty out. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold. One more time. Inhale all the way back up. Uttanasana, hands up. Exhale, let's fold through and bend all the way down. Uttanasana, letting the neck go. Your inhale lifts you halfway up. And your exhale, release, downward facing dog. Then setting up for down dog. Maybe widening the arms, widening the feet. In the breath. And exhale, empty out. Your next inhale, come down the hands and knees. And we're gonna add in a flow here that's gonna start in Vasisthasana. So I'm gonna kick my right foot to the side and I'm gonna bring the weight of my right shoulder directly over my right wrist. I'm gonna take my left hand in the air and maybe my left foot lifts. See what you need tonight, but maybe you're ready to hover that left foot. Now we're gonna, from here, we're gonna come to a low lunge. I'm gonna bend that left leg, take it around. If you need a block to reach the floor, grab a block for under your right hand. And then we're gonna come to a lunge twist. Back leg maybe lifts as the left arm comes in the air. Lunge twist. Good, now from here, we're gonna come into Ardha Chandrasana. So I'm gonna take that block with me. I'm gonna bring it just outside and in front of my left foot. And I'm gonna come into Ardha Chandrasana and maybe lift higher up, right? Maybe you don't even need the block here because you start to lift the body up and you're doing high Ardha Chandrasana. Now, as you exhale, come back to that low lunge twist. So maybe you grab the block, I'm back in the lunge twist. And then I'm gonna place everything down and come to my right-handed Vasisthasana. Exhale, so we're gonna start to float. Exhale, lunge twist. Inhale, Ardha Chandrasana. Left leg strong, open up the body, twist towards the, rotate rather towards the right, left leg in the air. Exhale, back to my lunge twist. Inhale, Vasisthasana. So start moving through this. We're gonna probably do 4 or 5 more times. The exhale is always that lunge twist. The inhale, you're either coming into Vasisthasana or this Ardha Chandrasana up high. Good, keep moving here on the breath. And finding an expression here. Maybe you're modifying the arms and where they are. Strong leg. Out with that whole outer leg as you stand in Ardha Chandrasana. Lunge twist. Good, we'll make our way through 1 or 2 more depending on your pace, or maybe you're already into other 3 or 4 more. But here, finding a rhythm, so the practice, something you can settle into. This will be our last one. Moving through, take your time and allow the body to be exactly as it is here. Good. Once I get to Vasisthasana on that right side, I'm going to simply come back through center. Take a couple of breaths here in table just to meet back up. Since we can't see each other, just making sure we're all around the same time frame now. So I'm just in table, waiting for us to making sure we're all moving up. Good. Now let's come into Vasisthasana and repeat. So I'm rolling over to the left foot kicks out, left shoulder over the wrist. I'm finding Vasisthasana here. I'm gonna reach my right arm forward, extend my right leg behind me, and then I'm going to exhale into that low lunge, that lunge twist, high lunge twist. Pressing into that right foot, I'm coming into Ardha Chandrasana on that right leg. Rotating the hips open. Exhale, high lunge. Inhale, Vasisthasana, left leg down. Exhale, lunge twist. Inhale, and my hips point forward until I feel steady, and then I start to rotate and open those hips. Exhale, long and slow, high lunge twist. Vasisthasana. Exhale into the lunge twist. Inhale, flying forward and then rotating the body. Exhaling, lunge twist. Vasisthasana. 1 more here. Lunge twist. Ardha Chandrasana. Back to lunge twist. Back to Vasisthasana. Back to hands and knees. And then your choice here, maybe you want to do a nice wide-legged child's pose. We'll meet up there. Child's pose isn't comfortable, maybe just sitting back on your feet is comfortable here. Catching up to the breath and just noticing how the body's responding, the physicality, how is the energy in the body, the mind. Let's see if you can observe here, eyes closed or open, with the senses turning inward. Your next inhale, fully fill up. Your exhale, open the mouth and let go. And then come on back here. We're going to come to downward dog. And we are going to do one more standing here, one more for building heat in the legs, a little bit in the side body. And then we're going to start to move into a whole lot more for the upper body releasing. Okay, so from down dog, let's move through one vinyasa here. So coming forward, well, one Surya Namaskar is how I should describe it. We're coming into forward to plank. Knees up or knees down, chest forward. Stretching through the body in two directions, out through the head, out through the heels. Coming forward and slowly lower onto your belly. Set the hands and legs for cobra. Lifting up into your cobra. Letting the lower back be soft and released, but the core engages. The lower back is broad. And the upper back does the work here. Shoulders draw back. And now exhale, take it back, downward facing dog. Good. Just take your right leg forward. One more here. One more standing pose here. And so this time, we're gonna fly forward a little bit. So we're in high lunge. Finding a nice even press through my foot. My right arch is lifting up towards my inner thigh. My hips, I'm squaring them in general forward, they're hugging in. And I'm gonna reach my left arm forward and my right arm can be alongside the body or slightly back. So my arms are almost reaching in two directions. Now, similar to before, we're gonna move the left knee towards the chest and just figure out the height where you wanna bring that, and you can work again with the Kapalabhati once we get going. So your inhale, breathe in. Your exhale, knee to chest, playing with that balance, and take a gentle twist towards the left. Open up the arms in two directions, and then fly that left leg back, and the arms alternate. So left arm forward, right arm back. Exhale, flying forward, lifting the knee up. And you may even find that left toes tap down as you transition. So flying, and then I tap my left toes down a little bit just because it's too much to lift it up in one full swoop. I can't find that balance. And then I reach it back. A few more here, tap the toes as I lift that left leg up, coming into a gentle twist. Dropping back, trying to keep the hips square. And last one. There we are, pausing at the top of the mat. And let's switch sides. So I'm going to take my right leg back, finding my balance here. Sometimes I like to bounce a little bit if my balance feels off that night or that day. A little bouncing tends to help me. I'm going to shift my weight slightly forward, reach left arm forward, right arm back. And then I'm going to take that left foot forward, maybe tap first, and then take a knee up and twist towards the right. Good, starting to move on your own. Inhale in, maybe adding in that Kapalabhati as the leg lifts. Again, my gaze is fixed forward, so my head is not moving. Two more after this. 2, 1. Good, and then come back to center. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, fold the body forward, down. Let the head go. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, take it back, downward facing dog. Let's come through one more Surya Namaskar here. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower the body down, letting the chest come down. Drop the feet. Finding your version here, cobra or maybe shalabhasana. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, tuck the toes, belly draws up, hips move back. Downward facing dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. Ribs lift towards the spine. Head alongside the arms. Thighs moving back. And your next exhale, come on down to hands and knees. We're gonna do one more here, just a little more heat in the shoulders, and then it's all cooling down in that upper body and making space. So we're gonna come into dolphin pose. And if dolphin pose isn't for you, then maybe you'll come here and you'll come more into a puppy dog, arms extend, hips draw back and stay up. You're gonna try dolphin, we're gonna clasp the hands. Elbows are in a comfortable distance so that the shoulders could be stacked right over. My shoulders are just behind the elbows, right? So I'm not stacking, but that gives me a general idea so I know my elbows are not wigging out. So I wanna get my outer arms down and clasping my hands. And I'm gonna start to straighten my legs and lift up. As my chest comes through the arms, I'm gonna look slightly down. My legs are straight. And I'm gonna see where I can soften here. Pressing into the arms, belly draws back. Couple more breaths here. If you want to add more, you can always lift that right leg up, keep the toes pointing down. So toes point down, but my right leg is in the air. And I'm going to take my right leg down, lift my left leg. Any point, if it's too much, you can come down and take child's or puppy. And then exhale, let it go. Down on the knees. And come back into child's pose here. Inhale, lift up. Now we're gonna come into puppy together. Just gonna take off my sweatshirt. So with puppy, our hips stay lifted. Our arms extend, and we're gonna come into side puppy. So you may find you want a block might be helpful when we do this. And I'll come over to the left, so my hips are staying up and my toes are tucked, and I'm walking my arms towards the left. Now like my head feels like it's too far away, so I can use the block right under my head. And I'm gonna walk my right arm out a little bit more. I'm gonna let my left arm relax a little bit here. And my right arm is getting a bit more of the side body stretch and a little more compression on the left, but the block is helping my head rest somewhere. Maybe here just a couple more breaths here in this side bending puppy. Let's make our way back towards center. And we're going to stay here on one side first, and we're going to come to thread the needle. So I'm going to take my knees wide, and now I'm going to take my right arm and thread it underneath my left and letting my right ear come towards the ground. And then you can decide here. So maybe your left hands, you want to stay on fingertips, or maybe your left hand presses into the right palm. Right, so the hands are pressing into each other. And gently taking this thread the needle twist towards the right. Letting the breath settle. Maybe you come into a counted breath. So we start to increase the length of the exhale. And seeing how that left shoulder feels. Does it feel like that left shoulder is rising up, and can you invite in or visualize a softening there, bringing in more space? We'll be here just a couple more breaths. Good, and as you inhale, let's lift the body up. And we're gonna come onto our bellies, but hear me out first. So we're gonna come into this one where you can come onto your bellies and have my block nearby, and I'm gonna take my right arm and cross it in front of my left. So we do this X with the arms, right? And so it's nice to have the block here. As I come down onto my belly, I have the block, this time on the second height under my head. And I'm getting a stretch through the back. So the shoulders, my palms are turned up. And I'd say my arms are just a little higher than shoulder height. Shoulder height feels a little too compressive to me, so they're just that little bit higher. And I'm letting my head drop down into the block as my arms are in like this X pattern and my elbows are crossing. That's how much I have them crossed. So like at the beginning of class, see here if you can let the body really settle. Letting the exhale really help you lengthen out. And the sense here of lengthening and decompressing. Just noticing what comes up for you, whatever the body is communicating, acknowledging that communication, maybe even thanking your body for the communication it's offering you to your experience. And at the bottom of your next exhale, slowly, with the least amount of effort, we'll lift the body up. So coming right back up, and now we're going to go back to puppy pose. So these few poses we weave together, we're going to come into hips up, and then if you want your block with you, puppy pose to the side. So we're starting to walk a little bit towards the right. I'm going to take that left hand out just a smidge further so I can feel a little more, but I really want to be mindful that my left shoulder doesn't start to creep up towards my ears. So think about it as less is more, maybe, depending on what you're experiencing. And maybe the block is too much, or maybe you just don't need the block. Letting the chest descend towards the mat. And slowly starting to walk your way back towards center. Moving the block if you had it there, and now we'll thread the needle here. So I'm going to extend my right arm, and I'm going to take my left arm underneath, my left ear towards the mat. And then finding a position for my right hand, my left palm is facing up. And finding the position that feels good for my neck and my upper body. Maybe for you, counting maybe 4 in and 6 out will help anchor you in the moment, or maybe it's just simply noticing the breath as it comes in through the nose. And then lengthens out that little bit longer without even needing to count. I find it just depends on the energy of that moment for me. Sometimes the counting is really what can anchor me in the breath, and sometimes I can bring the process inward and the breath just takes over and helps me stay focused. So whatever it is, not looking to define it or search for which one. If it's working, roll with it. If it's not, try an alternative, either counting or paying attention to the sensation of the breath coming in the nose and out. And letting those shoulders soften away from the ears. After your next exhale, we'll start to lift the body up. And then coming back down onto your belly and palms up. And then finding that X with the arms. So we're crossing so much so, mostly like at the elbows. And once again, if you need to move like the breast tissue out of the way or just kind of shift things or the belly or whatever it is and make that space, the arms cross. And maybe you want the block under your head or maybe just your chin resting on the upper arms is enough. This one is I love this one for in between the shoulder blades and down and around the shoulder blade. And as you linger here a little longer, notice if you're pressing the weight into one elbow and not the other, or if you can balance out the weight between both elbows. So last few breaths here. At the very bottom of your next exhale, we'll lift the body up. And we'll sit back on our feet. So sitting back on the heels. We're going to walk the hands behind us. And feel out here, if it's possible, you can turn the fingers away from you. And we're going to do like a modified camel pose. We're not going to lift the hips up. So you can turn your fingers in. You may feel it more in the arms with the fingers turned towards the feet. You can turn the hands out a little bit and the fingertips behind you. And then lengthen your tailbone towards your heels. So you lengthen the lower back, but the chest and the upper part of of your body lifts up, and you can keep your chin neutral, or maybe the head drops a little bit if that feels comfortable for you. But we're working here to really lift the chest up here, broadening across, letting the belly draw towards the spine though to keep the lower back supported. And just a couple more breaths here. Find the lower blades towards one another. And then your next exhale, let it go. So notice here. Good. We'll do one more before we come down. We're gonna come to see, we're seated and we're gonna bring our feet on the ground, and you can widen them as much as you need to or walk them away a little bit. Maybe your toes aren't even down. Maybe it's too hard to bring the soles of the feet down, so you walk your feet away and like the heels are down, but the toes are up. And I take a gentle twist towards the left. I'm gently twisting, opening up across the front of the chest, across the back of the body. And I'm gently twisting here with my legs bent towards the left. Be here really briefly. Maybe your gaze is behind you. The inhale coming back through center, and then just rolls, twisting towards the other side. So gently twisting so that right shoulder draws in towards the spine as the left shoulder blade moves away. And then maybe you're just looking right over both to the left, or maybe you're starting to turn the head and the gaze is behind you. And then making your way back towards center. And if you're starting to cool down, grab any layers. We're going to move into a supported chest opener and have our pranayama and shavasana. So grab any layers, and this is where you want those blankets. And this, one of my blankets, I'm going to roll up and I'm going to lie back on it. So remember, the tighter you make the roll, it might be more intense of a chest opener. So if you need a little bit less or you're not sure, maybe loosen up that roll a little bit. And this first blanket's going to come right in the middle of my back, towards like the bottom of my bra strap. So the middle of back, the shoulder blades. And then this other blanket for starters, when just in the chest opener, and then when we go to pranayama, I'll have you take it out. But this is under your head if you need it, if you want a little support for the head or neck. And so we'll take a couple of minutes here, we'll set up, and you want to have a nice extension through the spine. And again, like I said, just figure out here what is a good fit for you tonight. The blanket is the middle back, and then my armpits are off of the blanket and between the two blankets. And I have my arms in like a cactus arms, the blanket under my head if you have it. You can even take that and scrunch it around your head a little bit, like just kind of push it so it starts to fill in around the ears and under the neck, under the arch in the neck. And maybe you want to lengthen out the legs, or maybe you want to keep them bent. If you're lengthening out the legs, go on and like let them go, like take them wide. Letting the head get heavy, the hips. Letting the weight of the body drop down and settle down. The back of the head is supported on the floor. Letting yourself drop into the supported back bend. Allowing the body to be exactly as it is here. No right or wrong way to be. Noticing if any residual tension anywhere in the body. doing a body scan from the top of the head on down. Visualizing a sense of length and softening. Or even visualizing a sense of being taken care of being held. Linger here, several more breaths. And before you move, what we're going to do is we're going to take the blanket out from underneath us. And then that blanket that has been underneath us is going to go under the left side arm, like I described earlier before we start practice. So start to move the body in a way so that you can pull that left blanket out. And then I'm going to come right back down. I'm going to make sure my blanket, if I have one under my head, is set up in a way that is supportive still. And then I'm literally just using, like I mentioned, you can use your block. I'm coming back onto my back. And I'm placing my left arm, my elbows bent on the blanket. And I want it to be comfortable so that my arm feels supported. And I'm going to take my fingers, I'm going to take my ring finger to the right nostril, and I'm going to exhale everything out the left nostril. I'm going to close the left, and I'm going to inhale the right. Close right, and exhale out the left. Let's do several more rounds here. Inhaling only right. Exhaling as you're ready, only through the left nostril. And maybe your head is turning too, so make sure the head is comfortable here. As you're ready, inhale right. Top of the breath, hold. Close right, exhale long and slow out the left. Good. Let's try to do 2 to 3 more here. Inhaling right. Close off right. Exhale everything out left. 2 more. Right side inhale, top of the breath, hold. Exhale everything out the left. And this is always in your own counting. I'm just guiding the general idea, but make sure you're moving on your own count of the breath. Last one here, the right side inhale. Left side exhale. Good. Release the hand briefly. You can pause enough to just notice. Maybe hands are resting on heart and belly. Let's take the blanket or prop and move it to the other side. And just lying here in our nice Shavasana-like posture. And we'll get that right arm positioned. And then let's begin again, setting up the fingers. Breathing in through the right. Filling up at the top. And exhaling out the left. Now breathe in through the left. You're breathing in through the left, so we're switching it now, in through the left. Top of the breath. Close off the nostrils and then exhale only out the right. Making sure your head is positioned comfortably here. As you're ready, inhale left. Exhale as you're ready, out right. Letting the shoulders soften as you go. Good. Let's do 3 more here. Inhaling left. Pausing at the top and exhaling right. Inhaling left. Exhale as you're ready, right. Last round. Exhale out the right. Empty out the right. And then come back to a normal breath with maybe hands resting on the belly and the heart. And we'll linger here just another minute or two. So if you want to extend the legs or keep them bent, we'll pause here. Letting yourself settle in. So just a little bit of quiet here as we let the practice steep throughout the whole body. Let the breath begin to deepen and bring some movement into the body. Rolling over to your side. Making your way up to a comfortable seat to close out our practice. Just pausing here briefly in your seat. Getting a sense of the upper body. Maybe a sense of the arms lengthening or draping off the shoulders. The sense of the breath drawing in and out. And gently bringing the hands together right in front of the heart. May our practice benefit all beings.